Hello and welcome to the final of the ESL Power Cup 5. This is a game between two incredibly good players, two of my favourite players to watch. Both very skilled, good players. This is LaFaf on the left-hand side playing as the Marines, and on the right-hand side, Jin playing as the Marines. So it's going to be an MVM. I'm sure there are many angry people on the forums who aren't surprised by this. But I haven't seen an MVM on this patch yet, actually. Mirror matchups are not that common. So I'm interested to see how it ends up going. We can already see that LaFaf is not going with the scout spam style that we've been seeing in a lot of the non-mirror matchups. He's actually gone straight up with 3 tactical marines, and Jin is going for double assault marines. So you're already seeing a nice little bit of variance, which we don't always get to see with marines, which is a nice little thing. Just some early game fighting over points. The tactical marines have come out sooner, so if the LaFaf does this well, splits his units up a bit, he should be able to basically catch her everywhere. But now the assault marines coming out, you do need to be a bit careful, because assault marines can catch some tactical marines out and do some damage. As not much is happening right now, as a slight little note, I won't be doing too many games from this tournament because a couple of the finals, unfortunately one of the finals, which was the best of 3 that went the whole way, which looked like it could have been a good one, didn't have all the replays saved. So, you know, people got to make sure they send in those replays until Reddit gives us a good system. But these assault marines are now chasing these marines back. They're actually going to get hit by this turret a bit, but they're going to leap out. We have some more tactical marines coming in to back up this. And so assault marines from Jin going to come in and start just hacking at these points inside. We have now, as you can see, a scout out from LaFaf. The assault marines, though, going to get absolutely everything on that point and leave. Although, oh, there they are. Okay, they did get away. I was sure they wouldn't have died in that. There's no way a player as good as Jin just lets his submarines randomly die there. But I wasn't quite sure where they were. But LaFaf is doing a good job at holding off any of this aggression and putting pressure back on, although he did lose a lot of generators there. Now, the listening post is going to hold them off, stop the push a bit more, but there's quite a big army building up here with the 3 tactical marines as its base. You now have a couple of more scout units, so assault marine unit going back up here to take this out again. These look like they have more of a chance of actually going down, especially with some scout marines there. Oh, and they choose to attack the scout marines, which was a big mistake. They are definitely dead. So that's just one squad thrown away by Jin. Perhaps a bit too aggressive on the re-engage there, into a point where he couldn't have had more than 1 generator up. So just requisition points, actually, interestingly, from both sides. Both of these players are deciding that they're going to have to push some sort of control into this early game. Scout snipers coming out as well from Jin. So nice two sort of separate compositions here, both sort of diverging on the scouts. Arsenal coming down here, very interesting, very nice to see. Kill team pushing down here. LaFaf doesn't have a kill team. He has 2 free points in the form of Diomedes and the Librarian, and then Gabriel. Whereas Jin has Diomedes and Gabriel. Very interesting to see a player not bringing the Librarian, honestly. Even more interesting, in my opinion, than seeing a player not bringing a kill team, even though that is admittedly very rare. But the kill team are just getting slowly pushed out here, while there are assault marines on the other side of the map dealing some damage to the shield generator. Vortex grenade being put down to defend its retreat. LaFaf is going to give up on it. Is using a scout squad just to hold out these assault marines, but now the assault marines have realised it's a scout squad, they're just going to keep slamming because scouts don't do any damage. We have another servitor down here as well. They're just going to try and keep jockeying onto this shield generator to keep its shield up. Giving time for this army to sort of waddle across the map. The assault marines have figured this and just going to take it and leave. But the rest of LaFaf's army just seem to be up here. There are 2 scout marine squads here. They did just take out a scout squad. 2 sniper squads is interesting. I don't normally see people take this much. And we have our first Devastator squad. Like I've said in a lot of these matches, even though it seems to not come true, Devastators are incredibly strong. With the new high levels of requisition, where you have a lot of sheer numbers of requisition straight up troops. Ooh, that assault marine's going to get out just a sliver of health. And we have Diomedes coming down, actually, is the first choice from LaFaf. Rolling on. All these new heroes with their custom skins, I love it. So the Holy Standard actually coming down here from LaFaf, so he looks like he wants to, he's definitely wanting to push. That's sort of a big sign that he's wanting to go for it. And you can see the Devastators absolutely ripping apart those scouts, but they are going to get just slammed by another scout squad coming down from a drop pod. So now we have the much tougher, broader army from LaFaf coming up against the smaller, more specialized army from Jin. And it actually seems like just the pure numbers and power of just having a lot of dudes is working out for LaFaf in this situation where he only needs to push out that 1 Devastator squad and there's suddenly not that much on there. The scouts are going to do some nice chip damage across here, but the assault marines, just one group of assault marines can't jump into a blob like that and expect to survive for very long without some other very powerful distractions coming out, without some drop pods coming down or some sort of tank in there. I think Kill Team did actually just die to a listing post. No, okay. They backed out. I was worried for a moment there, but that makes much more sense. You could see with this scout servitor that there was nothing defending there, and so he was like, alright, let's go. We're not getting anything done here, let's move. The middle point is going to be taken again quickly by LaFaf's forces. He's doing something very well here, which I do not do very well in my games, which is he knowing when to back off. You know, he took an advantage and he isn't going, I'm winning, I might as well keep pushing, because that, in this game, is an easy way to get absolutely destroyed. And we actually have another Diomedes here, although it looks like this Diomedes doesn't have the custom skin on. I can't see through all the rubble and stuff. It actually looks like he might. Yeah, look at that. Red Diomedes. This is actually quite a nice setup with the red versus blue, as the blue are just absolutely surrounding the army of Jin right here. Kill Team going to go down. Diomedes might be able to sneak out. The snipers are doing a little bit of damage from the side, but he just has too much of this poke damage from the back and not enough actual front line. He basically has a back line with no front line here. If there are a few more scouts on the LaFaf side, he could push up, get some good stun grenades in there, and really do some damage. Right now, he's in a really dangerous point because the Devastators and the scout snipers will just rip his forces down as he runs towards them. But the servitors you see coming in here being used as a sort of fake front line because you can hold people up in melee, which, you know, does a lot of the good of just having stuff to fight in front of them. And a drop pod coming down. Hopefully this will be something useful. And this is actually a Deathstorm drop pod. I forgot the name there for a second, but that was a really good drop right behind the force as it was pushing forward, so that's going to do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, the amount that the Deathstorm pushed them back has meant that he's needed to unposition all of his units, but he's going to get Diomedes out of this. Oh, he's going to get a Diomedes out of this. Oh my lord, Diomedes is like It's like original Poppy, if anyone remembers that from League of Legends. But references to other games aside, he's not going to get Poppy. Another Death Storm is going to come down. And it's an interesting strategy to just use these as your front line. And I don't think this Death Storm was quite as good as the other one, because, I mean, now it's useless. But if he can set up his Devastators and his Scouts, perhaps, to manage to get some damage onto this turret, the Death Storm could be a good defense, although it has gone down now already. Diomedes is retreating. They're getting a lot of damage onto there, but now they're going to have to retreat. Ooh, actually, those Devastators are actually trying to set up again. That's not a great time for them. Going to get hit by another stun grenade. And so 2 Devastators were lost there for a push that I really think was kind of misguided. Trying to get damage on that so early while you were taking fire. You could see that you weren't out of the range. If you could get some Scout Snipers out of their range, deal some damage, then yeah, that makes sense. But pushing into the range to take damage, you just sort of threw away like a load of requisition there. So we're seeing Last Cannon Devs coming out from LaFaf now. His big broad frontline army I was talking about has been cut down to just a few scouts. On the other side, we have now a bigger army, because he has managed to keep a lot of this backline surviving. However, both sides here quite low on money. Neither of them are really pushing out from the other. Both sides have just Diomedes left. Jin does seem to be ahead right now, just because he has the bigger army. That fight put him in an advantage here. But as I always say, this is a game of comebacks, Dawn of War. As some damage is attempted to get onto here. It doesn't look like he really has enough to chase this down, but the Librarian is going to come out, hit a good Lightning Storm. Banner going down to keep these troops alive and to give him some defense, pushing on this top part with all of these Last Cannon Devs. And Last Cannon Devs mean that these buildings at the top are going to go down very fast. This is all of LaFaf's advantage in terms of resources going right here. But LaFaf, in this time, has started to catch up in the army. Especially seeing how many Servitors Jin has. So this is basically set out to be pretty even as well, especially with the generators at the top falling. And LaFaf's army moving in to try and set up for some sort of fight here. Vortex grenade has gone down.
Scout squad en route. A listening post. The foe would destroy a requisition generator. The standard flies.
Diomedes on Diomedes right at the front. But the banner has gone down, and it looks like Jin is now in full retreat. Both Diomedes going to start popping off their spells. Scout stuns coming out from the scouts, and a really nice wall from that Librarian, just pinning in a ton of those Last Cannon Devs. And if they can get taken out, even though there's only one squad that really has a huge damage in there, Diomedes is also getting really close down to going. He needs to focus these Last Cannon Devs to get them out, because that's something that might actually die. Diomedes has gone down, and the Last Cannon Devs have not run away, and so they will get taken out as well. Very good fight there from LaFaf. The Whirlwind coming in. But once again, this is more backline into the army, and he doesn't have, his army just fell down, so he doesn't really have anything in front of this to defend right now. And as is the downside with Whirlwinds, you see that the Whirlwind now still on cooldown, so LaFaf can safely push for a little while. Takes that, backs off. As long as he actually backs off and gets out of here, this Whirlwind just doesn't get to fire again. Have a Servitor checking out the top. He's not going to be able to get anything, because he's going to find that point has started to have be built on. And the army from LaFaf is now spreading out. Might look for somewhere else to push in now. Jin is back in quite a heavily defensive position, moving down to the bottom side because he expects this sort of move around. Perhaps going to go and try and push out the bottom listening post again.
listening post has been targeted.
And it looks like the next fight will be down the bottom of Morksmire here. But Jin is not going to want to take that fight with what he has. Staying in the bushes, very smart from LaFaf, getting him as close as possible before anyone notices him. The wall, going to trap these Devastators. Unfortunately, one of them managed to squeak out the side there, so he's going to get away safely. Whirlwind hit on the heroes, so didn't really get anything done. LaFaf backing off, but he can now set up here and take the fight. Diomedes is still in the front. A lot of shots going down. This last cannon dev that was dropped to the front is going to go down immediately. That seems like a waste, but now there's Deathstorm in the backline again. And we have Gabriel Angelos down now. This is an absolute call to back off. The Deathstorm on its own, or either of these on its own, would be a call to back off in my opinion. You have basically a free Dreadnought in the form of Gabriel Angelos coming in, just absolutely smashing people apart, and the good stun there into a Whirlwind hit just on top of where he stunned. Not going to get a huge amount of damage off, but this whole army is very low now. Deathstorm is still getting damage on the right side of the fight. We're still seeing some sniper shots hitting in. Gabriel is getting low, but he can start backing off now. We have some tactical marines out from Jin as well. These forces are just getting so low, and I think this is bad for LaFaf on this side, because honestly, what's that Whirlwind doing getting into close? Because honestly, the snipers and devastators are all back at the far back side, and they haven't taken any damage. This Whirlwind's going to fire in. It's actually going to get very little. It's going to do a tiny bit of damage to these devastators at the front, who are so low health that they'll probably go down anyway. Now LaFaf has been pushed away. These scout snipers still sitting there doing a lot of work in these fights, getting a lot of damage off. Feel like really showing the use of these scouts here, even though I wouldn't normally advise making two of them. They're doing very well. Got some assault marines pushing in here as well. I'm slightly worried that Jin might be pushing in a bit too far here. He might be getting overhyped slightly by his victories. That's going to go down. Oh, once again getting out with an absolute sliver. But now the Dreadnought coming down from LaFaf, trying to get in there and absolutely disrupt this backline. And they are now definitely on the backline. These scout snipers are running for their lives. One of them's going to go down to that Dreadnought, and we have another drop of some Las Cannon devs in the front, who are going to be able to set up and might be able to just take out this Whirlwind as it's on the retreat. They do. Now, Las Cannon devs going to be able to get onto this Deathstorm from just outside its range and clear that up pretty quickly.
Securing infantry damage upgrade.
And now, once again, it seems that the LaFaf has, in this situation, the army advantage. Holy Standard going down as they push up for this shield generator. Going to try and take this objective. Gabriel Angelos coming down in the backline. So now two Dreadnoughts essentially out for LaFaf. And now this, I think, is the real blow to Jin's army, because he's had that backline which has been, you know, the sort of core of his army for so long. He's had that taken out. The scouts, the devastators, they're all dead. Only one scout and one devastator, actually. I'm maybe overblowing this. But a lot of damage going down now onto this turret. This might actually go down. The amount of las cannons he had charged up and ready made this a lot quicker than any of Jin's attempts. And now Diomedes getting really badly taken here. It's an orbital strike coming down from LaFaf, although placed on his own army for some reason. But that's going to move in, and that will be able to push everything back. It's actually going to come back for this kill team. That might have been the reason of the kill team. And it looks like LaFaf has noticed that the kill team are just trying to drag it back. They're actually running straight on to counter it. That's a very nice move from Jin. But kill team is now going to go down to that Dreadnought in the back, and this will be captured back. The orbital drop from LaFaf has gone down as well. Going to just deal a bit of damage here. But as long as LaFaf keeps most of his army fine, this won't actually do that much. You can see he's sort of really barely taken any actual damage from that. So he still has this whole army and they're still pretty healthy apart from Diomedes. Scouts are finding quite a lot of resistance on this side actually. Which means they could push in and try and get something, but there's not really anything to get on that side. It looks like they might try and go for some of these resource points quickly and just take that out. It's a good shout. We also have some scouts up on this top side. Front line just going to back off so that they don't get taken down by any last cannon devs. Gabe from Jin is going to try and push in and deal some damage. This Dreadnought sort of waddled about a bit too much and is going to get taken out. A lot of damage coming down, and we actually see a Predator now coming down. This could be the end here. Predator on one side and not the other can be devastating. Although either of these sides' last cannons here could change the battle. Although they're going to have a drop on this side of a Dreadnought. That is the move right there. Now there are only one side of these last cannons that are still firing at full tilt, doing all the damage. And all of these last cannons from the LaFaf can move forward and get into a good line of fire with this Predator who's sort of having a rest at the back of the battle. This wall, actually awful for LaFaf, and he notices that and turns it off immediately. All of his last cannons can now fire, and the concede will come in from Jin.